Episode 15, The Train That Changed My Future. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our A to English podcast. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me again. Today's story is called The Train That Changed My Future. Have you ever taken a train to another city? Many people enjoy traveling by train. It is comfortable. It is usually quiet. You can read a book, look through the window, or simply relax. Sometimes, however, a simple train journey becomes much more than transportation. Sometimes, it becomes the beginning of a completely new chapter in life. Today's story is about one of those journeys. It happened 2 years ago. At that time, I had just finished a difficult project at work. For several weeks, I had been working long hours. I felt tired both physically and mentally. When the project finally ended, I decided to take a short trip to another city. I wanted a few days of rest. I wanted to visit new places. Most importantly, I wanted some time to think about my future. Early on Saturday morning, I packed a small backpack. Inside it, I placed a bottle of water, a notebook, a novel, my headphones, and a light jacket. I arrived at the train station almost 40 minutes before departure. The station was already busy. Some passengers were saying goodbye to their families. Others were carrying heavy suitcases. Children were running around while their parents tried to keep them close. Coffee shops were full of travelers waiting for their trains. I bought a cup of coffee and found a quiet place near the platform. While I was waiting, I opened my notebook. On one page, I had written several goals for the year. Some of them were already completed. Others were still waiting. One goal caught my attention. Speak English confidently with strangers. I smiled. I had written that goal many months earlier. I wondered if I was finally ready. A loud announcement interrupted my thoughts. The train to Green Valley is now arriving on platform 3. Passengers immediately stood up. Everyone picked up their bags. I joined the line and entered the train. My seat was next to the window. I always choose a window seat whenever possible. I enjoy watching the scenery change during the journey. A few minutes later, another passenger arrived. He looked around my age. He smiled politely. "Excuse me," he said. "I think this is my seat." "Of course," I replied. I moved my backpack, and he sat beside me. For the first few minutes, we remained silent. The train slowly left the station. Tall buildings disappeared behind us. Soon we were surrounded by green fields and small villages. The view was beautiful. After nearly 30 minutes, the young man looked at the English novel in my hands. "That's a good book," he said. I looked up. "You've read it?" "Yes," he answered. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised. Without thinking too much, I answered in English. "Oh, really? I started reading it last week." He smiled immediately. "So, you're learning English too?" "Yes," I replied. "I practice every day." Our conversation continued in English. At first, we spoke slowly. Sometimes we searched for the right words. Sometimes we laughed when we made mistakes. Neither of us cared. The important thing was communication. His name was Adam. He was traveling to attend a photography workshop. Photography was his biggest hobby. He showed me several pictures on his camera. The photographs were amazing. He had captured mountains during sunrise. He had photographed birds, waterfalls, forests, and old buildings. Every picture told a story. I asked him, "How did you become so good at photography?" He smiled. "I wasn't good at first. I simply practiced every weekend." That answer sounded familiar. Practice. Again. The same lesson appeared in another form. Whether learning English, photography, music, or sports, the secret was always the same. Practice consistently. Adam asked me about my hobbies. I told him that I enjoyed reading, learning English, and creating educational content. His eyes became brighter. Educational content? What kind? I create English lessons for beginners. He looked impressed. That's wonderful. You help people improve their lives. His words made me happy. I had never thought about my work in that way before. We continued talking for almost an hour. The conversation became easier and easier. I noticed something interesting. I was no longer translating every sentence in my head. Sometimes the English words came naturally. That small improvement gave me confidence. Then Adam asked an unexpected question. If you could master one new skill this year, what would it be? I thought carefully. Finally, I answered, I want to become an excellent public speaker. He smiled. Why? Because ideas can change lives, but only if people understand them. He nodded with respect. I like that answer. Then he said something that stayed with me for a long time. Knowledge opens doors, but communication allows you to walk through them. I immediately wrote that sentence in my notebook. Outside the window, the train continued moving through beautiful landscapes. Golden fields stretched across the countryside. Small rivers reflected the morning sunlight. Farmers worked quietly in the distance. Everything looked peaceful. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. We simply enjoyed the view. Sometimes silence is also part of a good conversation. After another hour, the train began slowing down. The conductor announced that we would arrive in Green Valley in 15 minutes. Adam closed his camera bag. I closed my notebook. Neither of us knew that the most important part of our journey had not happened yet. Because when the train finally stopped, someone unexpected was waiting for us on the platform. The train slowly entered the station. Passengers stood up and collected their bags. Adam and I walked toward the exit together. As soon as we stepped onto the platform, we saw a woman holding a sign that read, "Welcome, photography workshop participants." Adam smiled. That's for me. He turned to me and said, "You should come with us for a few minutes. They're organizing a small exhibition before the workshop begins." I wasn't sure. I don't want to disturb anyone. He laughed. You won't. You'll enjoy it. I decided to accept his invitation. Sometimes the best experiences begin with a simple yes. We walked together to a large community center near the station. Inside, the walls were covered with beautiful photographs. Some pictures showed snowy mountains. Others showed quiet forests, colorful birds, busy cities, and smiling children. Each photograph told a different story. While we were looking at the pictures, an elderly photographer approached us. He introduced himself as Mr. Robert. He had been taking photographs for more than 30 years. He smiled warmly and asked, "So, are you both photographers?" Adam answered, "I am." Then he pointed at me. "My friend creates English lessons." Mr. Robert looked at me with interest. "Really? Why did you choose to teach English?" I smiled before answering. Because language changes lives. When people learn another language, they discover new ideas, new cultures, and new opportunities. The old photographer nodded slowly. I completely agree. Then he pointed toward one of his photographs. It showed a small wooden bridge over a quiet river. The picture looked simple. I asked, "Why is this one your favorite?" He smiled. "Most people only see the bridge. I remember the story behind it." He explained that many years earlier, he had traveled for 2 days just to take that photograph. When he finally arrived, heavy rain began to fall. Many people packed their cameras and went home, but he decided to wait. He waited for almost 4 hours. Finally, the rain stopped. The sun appeared. A rainbow formed above the river. That was the exact moment he took the picture. Then he looked at both of us and said, "If I had given up after the rain started, this photograph would never have existed." Those words reminded me of learning English. Many learners stop when things become difficult. They give up after making a few mistakes. They become discouraged because progress feels slow. But success often comes just after the difficult moments. Before leaving, Mr. Robert gave each of us a small card. On the front was one simple sentence: "Be patient, great things take time." I placed the card carefully inside my notebook. Later that afternoon, Adam and I walked through the city together. We visited a small museum. We ate lunch at a local restaurant. We spoke English almost the entire day. Whenever one of us forgot a word, the other person helped. Neither of us laughed at mistakes. Instead, we encouraged each other. By the evening, I noticed something amazing. I had spoken English for several hours. Not perfectly, but confidently. That achievement made me very happy. Before sunset, it was time for us to say goodbye. Adam shook my hand. "I'm glad we met." "So am I replied. Then he smiled and said, "Promise me one thing." "What is it?" "Keep teaching. Your lessons will help many people." I smiled. "I promise." As my train carried me back home that evening, I looked out of the window once again. The sun was disappearing behind the hills. The sky was painted with orange, pink, and purple colors. I opened my notebook. I read the notes I had written during the journey. One sentence stood out above all the others. "Knowledge opens doors, but communication allows you to walk through them." I understood its meaning now. Learning English was not only about vocabulary. It was not only about grammar. It was about connecting with people. It was about understanding different cultures. It was about creating opportunities that did not exist before. That train journey lasted only one day, but the lessons I learned have stayed with me ever since. Sometimes we think that life changes because of one big event. In reality, life often changes because we are willing to start a conversation, accept an invitation, meet a new person, or simply say yes to a new experience. Before ending today's episode, I would like you to answer these questions in English. Have you ever met someone who changed the way you think? What skill are you practicing every day? Would you like to travel by train? Why or why not? What opportunity are you preparing for today? Take a few minutes to answer these questions. Remember, every answer is another opportunity to practice your English. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this story and learned something valuable from it. Remember, every journey begins with one step. Every friendship begins with one conversation. Every dream begins with one decision. And every successful English learner begins by practicing one day at a time. Keep reading, keep listening, keep speaking, keep learning, and never stop believing in yourself. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.